Zozobra, New Mexico's old Man Gloom, and the climactic moment when he is burned to cinders each autumn is a tradition all our own. Put on by the Kiwanis Club of Santa Fe, the Zozobra pageant kicks off the annual Fiestas de Santa Fe, and let me tell you, when you start a party by burning down a 50-foot effigy, you set a precedent. And while we revel in his fiery demise, I'm not sure how many of us know the backstory of Zozobra. Well, I'm about to find out, because this year I get to attend the burning with a lady who has a very special connection to this ominous giant, for it was her great-grandfather, Will Shuster, that created him. I'm meeting up with Kate Shuster at the New Mexico Museum of Art on the Plaza in Santa Fe, before we head to the burning at Fort Marcy Park just north of the plaza on Bishop's Lodge Road. So Kate, we are here at the Museum of Art in Santa Fe, and where there's a lot of Will Shuster, his work, the prolific artist here in New Mexico, and you are his great-granddaughter, correct?
That's right, I am.
Oh, wow. So I'm standing amongst royalty here.
Well, a certain kind of Santa Fe royalty, perhaps.
Totally.
Yeah.
But, well, I mean, everyone in New Mexico knows about his art, and it's, you know, he's the creator of Zozobra, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, celebration in New Mexico. So how did Zozobra have its emergence?
He and his friends learned about a tradition among the Yaqui Indians where they would create a three-dimensional figure of Judas because he's worthy of being burned, and according to the Catholic tradition. And they would put him on a donkey and parade him around town, and then they would set him on fire. And my great-grandfather and his friends thought that this was pretty cool because who doesn't love to set things on fire, obviously. Naturally. And they also really liked the symbolism of it, the idea that this figure who everybody could sort of agree that they hated could become a catalyst for a community to express its feelings and then come together around something.
Right. The kind of catharsis.
Exactly. They developed Zozobra based loosely on this idea. They invented the name Zozobra to mean Old Man Gloom. Do you know why he wears a tuxedo?
No.
He wears a tuxedo because the mythology of Zozobra, as my great-grandfather sort of invented it with his friends at parties, was that it would, in theory, if there was a 50-foot monster living in the mountains outside Santa Fe, which was the original conceit, where it was this old boogeyman who would haunt the outside of Santa Fe and make us feel all gloomy all the time. They thought, oh, it would be sort of difficult to get him into town. How would we get him in? And so they came up with this idea that they would send him an invitation saying they were throwing a party in his honor. And the mayor would actually issue a proclamation saying, you know, dear Zozobra, please come out of the mountains. We want to have this party for you. And so the idea would be that he would get dressed up in his tuxedo and come into town, and then
the Trojan horse.
Exactly, and then we've captured you, and they would then, of course, burn him.
Of course,
At the time in Santa Fe, Fiesta was much as it is now, you know, a collection of parades and Catholic ritual, and I think the artists felt that they wanted something a little edgier to have their own celebration that was around Fiesta, and so Zozobra was not meant to be a critique of Fiesta so much as an alternative to Fiesta, more of a hipster, you know,
as
bohemian.
Artists would do it.
Exactly.
You know? And how do you think people relate to it now in this day and age? You know, what do you think the relevance is for Zozobra and so many people getting involved with it?
Well, I think there's two things. There's obviously the spectacle of Zozobra. As I said earlier, everybody likes to set things on fire. And so this giant marionette being set on fire is pretty awesome.
Right.
But I think there's a deeper symbolism. I think that what continues to attract people to Zozobra is the idea of collective catharsis. And there's so many things that make people sad all year. I mean, if you look at the things that people stuff inside Zozobra, for example, 2 years ago, my mother passed away, and I put her death certificate in there because I thought, well, this is something that's made me sad. I'll put that in there. You see people putting divorce decrees. The police department shreds their records. I don't know if you know this. They shred their cold case records, and they stuff them in all these unresolved cases. So it's a very personal, while it's a collective experience, it's a very personal experience, I think, for people who go to the burn. The act of writing down something that makes you sad and stuffing it in with everybody else's cares, and then watching as it burns and goes up in smoke. I think there's a symbolic value to that, so that people don't experience their gloom alone. They experience it together, and they experience the release together. So I think that's part of why it continues to really inspire people after all this time.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely ready to burn some of my worries from this year. Let the healing begin. We arrive at the park early, but people have already started securing their spots under the looming figure of Zozobra. This year, my spot is going to be with the other VIPs, thanks to Kate. Once the sun drops in the sky, the festivities begin. Being part of Kate's posse, we start the ceremony with the Spanish conquistadors procession across the stage. It's a treat to be experiencing the event on this side, but just like every other person in attendance, we become spectators as the Gloomies gather around the base of the wailing beast. Led by the Queen of Gloom, these Santa Fe children dance around Zozobra to plead for his life. But we know better. His fate is sealed. And the burning begins. And how do we know this? Because the fire dancer has taken the stage. Originally choreographed and performed for 37 years by former New York ballet dancer and instructor Jacques Cartier, the fire dancer signals the time is nigh for Old Man Gloom. And he knows it. I think he knows what's coming.
I think he does too. I think he's on to us.
He's on to us. The moans tell it all. Burn it! Burn it! Burn it! With his incessant wailing and moaning, this tuxedoed figure absolutely encapsulates the essence of misery. It's sinister, bizarre, and exciting all at once. Among the spectrum of responses to the burning, I'm in awe just thinking about the weeks of labor that went into his construction. More than 3,500 volunteer hours, not to mention the thousands upon thousands of paper bits comprising his innards. His mere existence is a testament to our cumulative devotion to Will Shuster's legend. All of this, just to burn him down. Our commitment to our traditions is unwavering.
Was it what you expected?
You know what? It's a lot more. So what's left after you've torched the giant marionette of Gloom to the ground? Well, you roast marshmallows over his ashes. I think it's safe to say we burned all our cares and woes tonight. Bye-bye, Zozobra, until we meet again next year. If you want to stuff your own worry into Zozobra, look for the Gloom box located near the stage. And because the event goes pretty late, I would consider staying in Santa Fe overnight if you have a long drive home. But be sure to book your room well in advance.